Would I be the a-hole if I refuse? Brother-in-law requests that I temporarily move out of my home. My wife and I have been married for over 20 years, dating since we were 16. Before the age of 21, I was a degenerate. I cheated, got in trouble with the law, and I was abusive, never physical, but definitely verbal. I was horrible. This woman never left my side, not once. The day we found out she was pregnant, it was like a switch flipped in my head. My wife kept our baby against her family's wishes. They wanted nothing to do with me. I don't blame them. Her parents and siblings basically disowned her after that. I completely turned my life around, married her, went back to school, got a job, had another wonderful kid, got another degree, and started a business. I make sure she never needs to work a day in her life. My life now revolves around making hers easier. We just renewed our vows last year. Time passed, and my wife has made amends with her family. But to this day, they do not acknowledge me. Again, I don't blame them. My wife's family lost her childhood home when she was around 13, when her parents divorced. It had been in her family for generations. She always wanted to own it again. Over the last decade, I kept tabs on it. About 3 years ago, the house went up for sale, and we bought it. My wife and I have been living there since. The kids are in college now, so it's just the two of us, and life has been very peaceful. Last month, my father-in-law died. Now mother-in-law is alone and needs a new place to stay. One of my wife's sisters never left the house or got married, and currently lives with and takes care of mother-in-law full-time. None of my wife's siblings can afford to take them in. My wife and I had a great idea. Mother-in-law and the sister can move into our house. It was their home once, so it will be familiar. We have more than enough space and funds to support both of them very comfortably, and I thought it was a great opportunity for me to improve my relationship with them too. Recently, I got a call from my brother-in-law. He liked the idea and thinks it's the best case scenario for everyone, except he has one condition. All the siblings want me to move out. As long as their mother is in that house, they do not want to deal with my presence whenever they visit her. They also don't want to feel like they're under my roof. I was ready to say no until he said this, that he and his siblings had to spend years growing up, dealing with the fallout of their parents, losing their oldest daughter to me. The last thing I can give her, he said, is to let their mother have her kids around peacefully in the house. In their defense, my wife's parents did become crazy strict on the rest of the siblings after she left with me, but that was years ago. We're all in our 40s now. They don't care if my wife stays or moves with me, they just want me gone. The family plans to place mother-in-law in a nursing home when her health deteriorates, which we're guessing will be in a year or two. They're not trying to claim ownership of the house. I trust my wife and her family on that. They're just that appalled by my presence and want me to live somewhere else temporarily while they care for their mother in her final years. On one hand, I want to laugh at how ridiculous the request is. On the other, maybe I owe it to that family? Before I give my advice, what is your wife's opinion? This just happened and I don't think wife even knows about it. The impression I get is that wife told them our original plan, and they are still at "we'll all think about it and discuss plans again" phase. I know for a fact wife would be either A, completely shoot the plan down, or B, insists she comes with me. The reason I am getting advice before I even turn to her is I didn't know if I should just tell my wife, "Hey, this is what your brother said, and I'm totally willing to do it," from the get-go, in order to make her feel better about it if in fact we did decide I will leave. This is the absolute worst thing you can do for your family. This is a bridge too far. They don't deserve anything. You all survived in spite of what they did and how they treated you. They don't get to still treat you like you're that degenerate kid and want something from you. F that noise. You offered something generous, and then they wanted to put caveats on it. You do not do that when someone is offering you a kindness. That they are doing that shows that they are crappy, messed up people that you don't want around you anyway. Dude, the only reason that your mother-in-law and sister-in-law even have the opportunity to live in that house is because you bought it. Your wife's sibs need to grow the heck up and realize that people can change over the course of 30 years. Their refusal to acknowledge the fact that you are a completely different person now than you were back then is totally insulting to you and your wife. They should be grateful that you made the opportunity available. Their proposal is utterly selfish and insulting, not the a-hole. Seriously, he was a degenerate from the age of 16 to 21 years old. At 21, it sounds like he grew up and put his life together. I am honestly shocked that 20+ years later, the family is still holding his behavior against him from when he was basically still a child. These people seriously need to grow up. OP, I get you feel bad for your past actions, but enough is enough. It sounds like you have more than made amends for your early behavior. At this point, the family's treatment of you now is disgusting. They have no right to ask you to leave your house. That is just ridiculous. Don't leave your house. Don't let anyone but your kids stay in your apartment. The in-laws sound like they would not pay any bills because you can afford it, and then claim squatters' rights when it was time to move. You have treated your wife and children well, but your in-laws don't see it and probably never will. Stop bending over backwards for them and tell your wife to stop too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my girlfriend for not telling her parents no? My girlfriend, 23, and I, 25, moved into a house I just bought, a brand new house. And within 2 months of living in it, she tells me that she told her parents they could live here practically rent-free until they get their own place. Mind you, they are not just changing houses, they are being evicted. This is their second eviction in the last 7 years, all due to their poor financial decisions. They are both avid gamblers and have made other poor life choices. They both have an income that amounts to well over what they need to live on, yet they have always asked for money and never seem to have any. I told her that the only way they are going to learn is if we tell them no, and she refuses to do that because they're her parents. I told her that she's enabling them to continue with their bad habits, and that I am willing to break up with her if she doesn't change her mindset on helping them this way. I understand that they are her parents, but I am not supporting them as if they are my children. Is this enough to leave someone over? We have been together for almost 3 years. The house is in my name, and I can afford everything solely by myself. I'll try to answer any questions that may arise if need be. If you let them move in, they will never leave. That's my fear exactly. Don't let them move in, or you'll be supporting them forever. You need to consult with a lawyer as soon as possible. Break up with her and evict her. Don't let them squat. No joke, once you open that door, it's way harder to close it. Getting legal advice early is key because emotions can cloud the situation fast. Breaking up and cutting ties might be tough, but it beats getting stuck supporting them for the long haul. Protect your space and your sanity. If the house is in your name, just kick her out and the 3 of them can go find a place together. Agreed. Letting them all stay when they've shown repeated patterns of irresponsibility only invites more chaos. If boundaries aren't respected now, it'll be much harder to reclaim your space and peace later. If she wants to play landlord to her parents, she can do it from a place they all pitch in for. You didn't buy a house just to become the fallback plan for 2 grown adults who can't stop gambling. That's not a partnership. That's a sitcom setup. Never sympathize with gamblers. You're not wrong for drawing the line. Love doesn't mean signing up to parent your partner's parents. Yeah, too many people confuse love with obligation. Like, yeah, they're her parents, but that doesn't mean OP has to co-sign their mess. If they've already been evicted twice and still haven't changed, what's going to make this time different? Letting them crash rent-free just teaches them that someone will always save them. I get wanting to help family, but at some point, tough love is the only love that actually helps. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my ex-husband and one of his future stepkids come inside? Our custody arrangement is for each of us to pick the kids up on our designated day during a 2-hour pickup window. He arrived at the house, and I already had the boys ready. I saw his car pull into the driveway on my camera, so the boys were already halfway to the door when my ex knocked. I opened the door, and he was holding the hand of a 4-year-old. He asked to come in and said his fiancé's son needed to use the bathroom. I told him I didn't want him to come inside because I don't feel comfortable with him in my house. He has a history of snooping through my things. He asked me to take his future stepson to the bathroom, and I said I was uncomfortable with his situation. He said the boy needed to pee. I suggested the McDonald's up the road. He replied that my bathroom would be way cleaner than a McDonald's. At this point, my 11-year-old started pestering his dad to stop so they could leave. My ex said, "Your brother needs to use the bathroom." My son said, "I'll take him." My ex replied, "No, your mother would rather he pee his pants. We'll go, and hopefully we'll get to the McDonald's in time." My ex and the boys left. He messaged me afterward, saying I was cruel to a child and that punishing him like that wasn't okay. He said I made us both look bad in front of our kids and should be embarrassed by my actions. I've been fighting with him for so long that my perspective is screwed up. Was I in the wrong? Now for the comments. If the kid needed to pee, the ex could have stopped prior to arriving at his ex's. He knows the relationship is strained. Good Lord, he has a 2-hour window. My ex and I, 6 p.m. the end. It's a little boy. He can pee basically anywhere. Point and shoot. My 4-year-old had 3 side-of-the-road pee breaks today. We stopped for multiple bathrooms breaks on the 3-hour drive, but of course peeing off the road is cooler. Reminded me of my nephew. We caught him peeing on his dad's car tire, and when asked what he's doing, he replied that he's watering the car so it would grow to be a bus. Cool as a cucumber, 4-year-old. Okay, so I like to ask my husband these scenarios and get his 2 cents. He seems to think, because you have stated you've had multiple problems with the ex, that this was more about control. He wanted you to do what he said. Was the boy hurting and crying because he had to go? If not, my spouse thinks it was a power play by your ex. If it were me, I would have asked my son to take him and told the ex to go wait in his car. But if this douche just liked to jerk you around, then not the a-hole. He was holding my ex's hand and kind of looking around. He didn't say anything. Your son did actually offer to take the kid to the bathroom and your ex declined. Sounds like a power play to me. You can remind that he is not welcome into your house unless it is life or limb, and he needs to organize himself properly before he arrives. Not the a-hole. Time to do exchanges at Mickey D's. That doesn't work because he will be late, and then if I go home, he'll want me to come back and then say I'm denying him his custody time. Judge said he can have a 2-hour window for pickup, but it's not fair to me to have to sit in a parking lot for 2 hours. So this is what was agreed upon with the judge for both of us. It's not perfect, but everything else we tried was worse. OP, does your attorney know your ex is trying to gain access to your house and is pushing the child exchange windows? This, from what you said here, seems harassment. Oh yeah, not the a-hole. He knows about the windows. But I didn't tell him about what happened yet because I'm still processing it. He's already dealing with the complaint my ex made about me taking the boys to see Superman after he told me he wanted to take them. I am so anxious about telling him there's a new issue. Last story. Am I the a-hole for outing my ex-coworker's boyfriend as a sex offender to her children's guardians? So for backstory, my ex-coworker was very vocal about her custody battle for her 3 boys with CPS. To keep it short, there was abuse that resulted in her 3-month-old ending up in the ER with a broken femur and multiple healing fractures all over her body. She has 2 fathers for her 3 children. Her first and third children share the same father, while the second has a different one. There is currently a criminal case against her and the father of her second child regarding the abuse. From what I know, that father is a known meth user and tested positive multiple times during the custody battles. The paternal grandparents of her first and third children were granted custody of all 3 children. She chose to give up custody so that if she had more children in the future, she could keep them and maintain visitation rights with her 3 kids. Now to the title. My ex-coworker, we'll call her Kelly, had a couple of different boyfriends during the custody battle, but her most recent and longest relationship over the past 2 years is with a guy who made me uncomfortable. So I looked him up. He had been charged with 3rd-degree sexual assault and 5th-degree criminal sexual conduct on 2 separate occasions. And based on the police report, it was against a minor. She had been talking about him a lot and eventually moved him into her home, which made me nervous for her kids. So, I found the grandparents who have custody of the children on social media and sent them the information. They thank me and have now made it so that she only has supervised visitation and her boyfriend is not allowed around the children. I felt like that was the right thing to do because kids come first, and he seemed like someone I wouldn't want around mine, especially after what they've already gone through. But when I mentioned it to my mom, she said it was none of my business and acted like I was awful for saying something. Was I wrong for reaching out? Should I have just kept it to myself, or did I help? Not the a-hole. You did the right thing, and don't let anybody try to tell you otherwise. For real, kids don't get a second chance at safety. OP did what needed to be done. Some people stay quiet out of fear of drama, but nah, this was solid adulting. This ain't just gossip, it's public record plus child safety. That dude had no business being near any kid. You did what had to be done. Tell your mother to join the rest of us in the 21st century. You don't mind your business when people, especially children, are at serious risk of harm. There's a very good reason why the grandparents thanked you, not the a-hole. You did the right thing. People like your mom turned their heads when this was going on back in the 60s to 90s and before that. Bad things continue to happen when good people do nothing. I wish there was some way to make OP's mom spend a day listening to what happened to those kids when people look the other way. The harm is real and it stays with you forever. I rarely make this statement, but tell your mother to stuff it. More people in this world need to watch out for children. People know things and keep their mouths shut, and then when something happens, they say, well, I knew that was going on, but it was none of my business, so I didn't interfere. Well, if you knew about it, you should have interfered. It's just kind of annoying when people don't. It really needs to be about the best interest of the child. People either don't do any research or accept the excuses others make for their behavior. And yeah, if they're lonely and don't want to be alone, they're willing to accept anything somebody says. Maybe someday she'll realize that she owed her children more than that, but she would probably benefit from some counseling. Bottom line, you did the right thing. And if your mother doesn't like it, too bad.